Council, Monday, February the 5th, 2018 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. And we'll call the meeting to order, and first off is the adoption of some minutes. So the Committee of the Whole minutes of January the 15th, the regular open minutes of January the 15th, and the special open minutes of January the 18th for adoption. Could I have, with my magic wand, Councillor Campbell is moving the motion, and Councillor King is seconding that. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Good. And the next thing we have is, we've done that. Yes, okay. Next we have something special.
Want to take a picture?
Yes.
So this certificate on of local government service delivery is being presented to Brianne Hilson on behalf of the Provincial Board of Examiners. The board recognizes the professional standing of local government employees through granting them certification. The Board of Directors awards certificates to local government employees who have satisfied the educational and work experience criteria as set out by board regulations. Brianne has been successful in the required courses leading to this certification and is well deserving of this reward. So to get this reward, Brianne had to take several courses, including courses like municipal law, service delivery, and finance, and assorted other types of courses. So congratulations, Brianne, and it's a pleasure to be able to provide you this certificate on behalf of the Board of Directors.
Thank you very much. Well done. She wants that bag to put it in. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is business arising from prior minutes. And the first one that we have is the municipal service police service agreement. And Mr. Romanko will speak to that.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. With the town population exceeding 5,000, the municipal share of policing costs increased from 30% to 70%. The town had the option of developing its own municipal police force or having service delivered by the RCMP. Council's direction was to have the RCMP serve as the municipal police force. The initial contract for municipal police services provided for the town paying for 6 RCMP members and associated costs, and the provincial rural policing component paying for 2 members and associated costs. This would have seen a 253% increase in policing costs, with the annual cost moving to $376,000 from $376,000 to $953,407. Council directed the administration to appeal the Canada Census population, write letters to the province to identify community concerns relating to the member service allocation, appeal this cost increase, and develop an incremental police costing model. This model would have had the province absorb a greater amount of policing costs on an incremental scale. Over the last year, discussions were held with the Ministry of Public Safety and provincial staff members in an effort to reallocate costs. The census appeal results are in, and our new census figure is noted at 5,050. So although we were successful in dropping the amount of our population, it was not insufficient amount to move us below the 5,000 threshold. As a result of these discussions, a new costing proposal has been brought to Council for consideration and approval. Non-acceptance of this proposal may result in the province passing 100% of the policing costs to the town in 2017 and 18. The latest draft of the contract is attached, and there are no proposed changes other than capturing the official town name on the contract. The new contract, as reported in the January 15th update to Council, has the town paying at the following rate. For the operating years, April 1st, 2017 to March 31st, 2018, and April 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2019, the detachment split will be billed at 5 members for the town and 3 rural members. From April 1st, 2019 forward, until additional services are requested, the detachment will move to 9 members, with the town paying for 6 members and the rural component staying at 3 members with all associated costs prorated. The move to a 9-member detachment is not, as earlier suspected, contingent on the results of a request for increased rural policing officers. The additional rural support will be part of the police servicing agreement. The additional officer may be available to the town earlier, but the town would have to pay for the officer. The province would like to have a contract signed by the end of February. Administration is presenting options to enable this meeting this time frame. In terms of implications, the community, in the long term, the community will benefit from having increased control over police priorities and development, and addition of an additional member to the detachment. Organizationally, consideration will have to be given to include the RCMP members and the civilian personnel as part of the town activities. Budget. Costs associated to the RCMP will continue to be identified as a separate cost on the tax bill. Actual costs for the period from January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018 will be on this year's tax bill. A small reserve may result from the amount collected from last year due to the decrease in payment for 1 member. Significant dates: the province wants the agreement signed by the end of February 2018. In terms of options, 2 options are being presented by the administration. The first being council approves the attached contract with the BC provincial government for the provision of RCMP services to the town of Osoyoos and provides the administration and the mayor direction to sign the approved contract. 2, council requests additional information prior to making a decision on the attached contract. In terms of recommendation, the administration recommends option number 1. This contract has been fully negotiated and is ready for signing, unless members of council require additional information. The province has attempted to address council's earlier issues relating to rural-urban detachment cost split and the short notice on significant financial impacts in the following manner. 1, having the town pay for only 5 RCMP members for the first 2 years of the operating agreement, and 2, increasing the size of the detachment to 9 in 2019, with the rural policing program paying for 3 members.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So, I mean, I wish I could say I was thrilled that we're having this discussion now, and we need to put a motion on the table. Still frustrating to look at a town or municipality that's 50 people above the $5,000 limit and will incur that.
$5,000, love it.
What's that?
You said the $5,000? Love
Oh, sorry, 5,000 people. I mean, it's frustrating to be in this position. But having said that, I'm quite proud of this council and administration for challenging it, and I think that provincial government heard a lot of things from us that they weren't considering when the initial contract was presented to us last year. So I'm glad we did our due diligence. I know that the result of the recount wasn't as favorable as we'd hoped, but I think we're in a better place than we were a year ago, and it just proves again that no different than a while back with our school closure, that when we push and we challenge things for the right reason and represent our constituents that way, sometimes we get somewhere, and we did again this time. Having said that, I'd like to move that Council approves the attached contract with the BC provincial government for the provision of RCMP services to the town of Osoyoos, and provides the administration and the mayor direction to sign the approved contract.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Councillor King. Thank you very much. And I think that when we were talking to the people from the RCMP, they did hear that we were concerned about jumping from 30% to 70%, and I have a feeling that they've heard from several other communities as well, that that's a pretty drastic jump, and we're sort of hoping that they will try and alleviate that. It may not help us very much, but maybe it'll help other communities. So, is there anyone else who would like to speak? So we've had it moved and seconded that we have option 1, that we sign the contract. All in favor? Thank you. Councillor
I'm in
Rhodes?
favor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Romanko. And the next item is a change in council meeting times, and is that Ms. Van Vienen? Thank you.
Thank you. At the regular meeting of January 15th, 2018, Council directed staff to bring back a report expressing the pros and cons of moving council meetings from afternoon to evenings. Town council meetings were held in the evenings up until 2010, at which time they were changed from 7 p.m. to 2 p.m. on condition that public hearings be held later in the day to allow the public to attend and make representation. At the same time, the town started to webcast council meetings through Granicus, and therefore those wishing to view the council meeting could do so through live streaming or at a time convenient to them. Prior to the move from evening to afternoon meetings, typically only the CAO and Director of Corporate Services or Deputy Corporate Officer attended the meetings. All reports were read into the meeting by the Mayor. There was also a committee meeting held at 9 a.m. that gave Council the opportunity to ask questions of the directors regarding items on the agenda. With the move to afternoon meetings, the directors started attending and presenting their own reports and were available to answer questions from Council. In turn, the committee meeting took on a new direction and became Committee of the Whole meeting, which no longer reviewed the regular agenda for later in the day and instead looked at upcoming issues and allowed for informal presentations from various individuals or groups. If Council were to consider changing the Council meeting start times from 2 p.m. to, say, 7 p.m., an amendment to the Council Procedure Bylaw would be required, and once the bylaw is adopted, then advertising would be required to provide notice to the public of the meeting time change. As well, Council should consider having a maximum end time to a Council meeting. Previously, that was 10 p.m. This means that if the meeting is still in progress at 10 p.m., Council has to pass a resolution to extend the meeting or adjourn it to another date and time to be reconvened. Currently, the Council meeting day is scheduled as follows: 9 a.m. Committee of the Whole, 10 a.m. or directly following the Committee of the Whole meeting, a special closed meeting is held if there is a need for one, and 2 p.m. regular open meeting. If meetings are to be held in the evening, Council should also consider what time Committee of the Whole meetings and closed meetings should be held if they are necessary. The Committee of the Whole meeting, if held at 4 p.m., may still prohibit some Council members from attending, but to hold them at 5 p.m. may not give sufficient time for the meeting and or a special closed meeting to be completed prior to the regular open meeting, keeping in mind that a dinner break should be factored in. Using a scenario that Committee of the Whole meetings would be held at 4 p.m. with a 1-hour dinner break before the regular open meeting, and estimating that the regular open would go until 9 p.m. with possible special closed following or continuing right after to approximately 10 p.m., would estimate total overtime for directors of 5 hours each. The other half hour is for cleaning up and closing office after the meeting. The additional cost for staff is based on the following attendance estimates, and I've just noted them in the report for Council reference. The approximate cost for staff is around $40,000 to $45,000. Alternatively, directors can alter their workday, but this may cause operational issues. If someone runs for Council and is successful, and if they are unable to attend meetings during the day, it is Council's prerogative at that time to reschedule Council meetings to accommodate that Council member. If the Council of today wants to ensure that those running for office in October do so with assurances as to time commitments, it should consider changing the bylaw now. However, there is no guarantee the new Council won't change the time back. As for pros and cons, pros to afternoon meetings: all directors and some staff are able to attend to present their own reports and be available for Council questions without overtime being paid. Leaves the evening open for all Council and staff to participate in other activities. There is no rush to complete the Committee of the Whole or special closed meetings, and they can be continued after the regular meeting without any issue. There are no additional costs to the public. Meetings are webcast, giving the public the opportunity to view the meetings at any time, and some press deadlines are more attainable. Cons to afternoon meetings: not all public can attend, although public hearings are held later in the day, keeping them available for public attendance and input. And those considering running for office may not be able to attend afternoon meetings and therefore will dissuade them from running. Pros to evening meetings: more public may attend if they wish, may encourage those working during the day to run for Council. cons to evening meetings. It will cost approximately $40,000 to $45,000 more per year in staff wages. It may not complete the meeting due to time constraints. Inability for all staff to attend to answer questions of council, possibly delaying decisions on some matters. Can make for a long day for council and staff. And other events held on evening of council meetings cannot be attended by council members. Options: that staff be directed to bring back an amendment to the council procedure bylaw to move the regular open meeting from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. to take effect on the first meeting in September, or 2, take no action at this time, and that this matter be left for consideration by the next council, and staff recommend option 2.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCorduff. I read this report with great interest when I first received it. What I would have liked to have seen in the report, I think, is, as we do whenever we usually make decisions on changes we make as far as how we do business as a council, we tend to look at other municipalities our size and municipalities in the area to see how they're affected by what they do. So from my experience, whether it be at UBCM or FCM or any of the conferences I attend, it gives us the opportunity to speak to mayors and councillors from other municipalities. We seem to be in the minority as far as the times in which we hold our meetings being daytime meetings, where if I had to guesstimate, 90% of the municipalities our size in BC do go to evening meetings, and the reasons are for better availability for public input and to attract a more diverse council of people that are working or have other daytime commitments. When we recently debated adding 2 additional councillors, we put a survey out to the public. I was frustrated by the wording of that, as I am by this report, as far as focusing on the dollar amounts and not much else, staff time and dollar amounts. So I just like to remind everybody here that we're here to represent our constituents to the best we can, and to show as much diversity while doing that. So what I'd like to see happen here is I'd like to set this aside and ask administration to post a similar survey to the public and get some public input, as these are the people that can or either would or wouldn't attend meetings based on when they are, or people that might or might not run for the next municipal council. This is a serious decision as it affects representation for our constituents. So I would like to make a motion that we direct administration to put a survey out on the town website and gather some public input with a question as to daytime or evening meetings, focusing on more than just the dollar amount, but with some comparables of other communities as well.
Could I see if, before we go ahead with that motion, if anybody else has any comments on this issue first? I'd hate to just jump into that right away without letting everyone else have
There's a motion on the floor.
We have to deal with it that way? Okay. Is there somebody who's going to second that motion? There is no one to second it. Therefore, it does not. Okay, we entertain. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? And we'll let everybody have a turn. Councillor King.
I would maybe like to send this back to staff to do a comparable between other towns of this size. Maybe there's 8 or 10 towns around the 5,000, and just get a real report, whether they're night or daytime. That would be my motion.
Are you making that as a motion?
Motion, yes.
Is there somebody to second that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to speak to that?
I may want to say.
Yes?
Just to further to the comments that have been made, I am supporting the research for other municipalities, just to further what Councillor Campo has said. I think I'd have more satisfaction if I knew that there were other communities that did have afternoon meetings or evening meetings. I know there's lots of communities that have evening meetings, but they're around the province and they have them for various reasons, and they're in more industrialized areas from my knowledge of the people I've spoke to. And again, I just have a question about the fact that for a number of years we've had evening meetings, and I know that change is always very possible and a good thing going forward. But we have very, very little attendance to anything that we hold in the evening. Even our public hearings are not well attended. They're very seldom do we have a very strong turnout. And I just think with the cost of the staff and the opportunity that we have to look at keeping the meetings in the afternoon is favorable, I think, for most people. However, I'll be looking forward to the consensus that you're able to do for us if we move this motion forward.
Is there
Just a minute. So we have, is there anyone else, and I'm going to ask Councillor Rhodes if he had anything to say, particularly on this motion.
I do not have anything to say about the motion, but I would like to comment if we go any further with it.
Yes, that's fine. I thought you might. So, Councillor Campbell?
I'd just like to ask administration if this motion goes through, do we have that information now, or is this something that would have to be gathered, or do we have an idea?
We'd have to do research relative to, I don't know if there's any, we'd have to call individual municipalities of this size and get the, it's not information I don't think that's readily available. And so it would, we just have to call.
Okay, so here's where I guess I'm confused, is a motion on the table to go to the public was quashed. I'm not sure what difference it would make then if we're not interested in the public's input. What the, there seems to be no appetite to look at this. I'm not sure what the point of wasting staff's time is then in doing this. That's just my opinion.
Well, can I just
go ahead?
I guess the difference I see in the two motions is that the use of the survey tool to go to the public and get that's not in this second motion, and I don't know how reliable that particular type of tool is. I know that in your request you wanted a whole bunch of information so that to put into the question. Our website question has very limited characters, and that's one of the reasons that part of the reason that the question was limited to in terms of its nature. So this motion deals with gathering information about other municipalities, which the first one included, and the first one also included this public survey. So that's the difference I see in the two motions.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the difference. It just seemed to me if we weren't looking for public input, there was no appetite to look at this period. So why we would waste staff's time to do this? That was the point I was making.
I guess my concern is, Councillor Campbell, that you felt that the public input that we got on the survey the last time was not worthwhile. So I'm wondering if, how we could word something where we would get people's individual comments right away, but it may not be a scientific approach. I'd like to also say another thing, that I know that one of the communities very close to us is Oliver, and they do have meetings in the afternoon and the evening, but I think that, and most of them are working people, they still have the ability to attend many, many daytime meetings. They were just down, all of them except Councillor Doer, were down at local government association meetings in Richmond last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I believe. So my thinking is, while they are working people and probably meet in the evening, they also meet in the afternoon, and then they all go out for dinner together before they come back and go to the next meeting. So I think that there's different ways of doing things. My thinking is on this whole issue that when Miss Van Vienen has a meeting in August, an information meeting for people wishing to perhaps apply to be on council, run for council, that this issue could come up. There could be a discussion about when meetings are, why they're that way, and the new members of council or anybody who was concerned about that could certainly bring that forward at the time. So I think there are ways to deal with it, but I'm not convinced that just having meetings in the evening is the best way. However, the motion on the floor is to Mrs. Hilson, is it to have staff inquire on other communities at approximately our size of when they hold meetings?
CJ wanted to talk to.
I don't think he wanted to talk on this issue. He wanted to talk on the next one. Is that correct? Is that
Well, I could offer a comment.
Go ahead, CJ, while we figure out what this motion. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I am opposed to the motion that's on the floor right now. Every community in British Columbia, including ours, is very, very unique in the things that we do. And I just don't see the relevance of polling other communities to see what they do, because they have their own uniqueness about when they do things and how they do them. And, so I'm opposed to this, and if it goes further than this, I'd like to offer another motion if I could afterwards.
Okay, I think we'll deal with this motion first. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hilson, do we have a motion there?
What did you say, Jim?
Yeah, I think she's got it. Have you got it?
So the motion reads
Number
that
2.
that staff be directed to bring a report back to council with times of council meeting comparisons between communities of similar size of Osoyoos.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, and that was, you're seconding it?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, all in favor of this motion? Against?
I'm opposed.
Okay, the motion does not carry. Now, we will go back to the original report, and we've heard from other people. Councillor Rhodes, would you like to comment on this issue?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'd like to offer a motion based on the wording in the report, the recommended wording.
The recommended motion number 2, that no action be taken at this time, and this matter be left for consideration for the next council. Is there a seconder for that?
I will.
Yes, we do have a seconder. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this now? Councillor Campbell.
I just want to consider the optics of, there was 2 proposed changes to the way we function as a council. One was brought to the public for input, and this one will not be, and just to consider the optics of that when making this decision.
At this time, it will not. You're correct. It could be at some future time. Am I correct, Mr. Romanko? It can be brought to the next council or to the meeting that Ms. Van Vienen has.
Well,
Not to
if
change.
the next council wants to make a change, they can direct the administration to do some type of public consultation at that time.
Okay. I understand, though, that Ms. Van Vienen said she was going to do a public meeting for interested people to run for council, and she was going to give them that type of information?
Yeah, I think at that meeting, the information that would be presented would be the ability to influence council meeting times through the changes in the procedural bylaw, because at this point in time, at that point in time in August, it would be too late to make the procedural change.
Right, but if the new council come in and they wanted to do that, it would take a little bit of time, but it could be done.
That's right.
Soon after. Councillor King.
I'd like to make a comment if I could.
Okay, we'll let Councillor King and then you, Councillor Rhodes.
I just wanted to know, did I hear clarity, if we chose of a council right now, if we give the public notice, we could hold an evening meeting, say, in 30 days?
If you have a bylaw amendment, so you'd have to give it
Oh,
first 3 readings at
okay.
one meeting, and then final adoption at another, and then we'd have to advertise,
Yeah, no,
and
that's
then
fine.
you could hold it. So probably a month and a half.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Well, back when we changed from evening meetings to the format that we have right now, I was on council at that time, and so I have pretty vivid memories of the way it was before, and of course memories of the way it is now. One of the things that I find that is so beneficial to having them during the day is that fact that our staff is there and available. And that's so important, because when you think about every report that we get, at the end of that report, as it's given to us by the directors or the CAO or whoever, we always have questions. One of the regrettable things about having the evening meetings and not having staff there is they weren't there, and those questions were never answered, and it really impeded our decision-making process. It caused delays and, unnecessary debate about all kinds of points and that kind of thing. But having said that, there's pros and cons for daytime and evening, and I think it's worth looking at. I just don't think it's worth looking at during this current council thing, and that's why I'm supportive of doing it in the next council. There's a lot of benefits either way. If we send a strong message to anybody that's thinking of running for council in October that option is there, then they can, make their decisions based on that. So if any of these scenarios come up that we've discussed in the pros and cons that were given in the report, then, people that are thinking of running can weigh the pros and cons with their personal life and the different dynamics that they have in their life and make a decision whether they want to run or not. There's no easy answer. I don't have an answer. I just like the way we do it right now because the information is there and available and it's timely and it really does benefit our decision-making process.
Thank you. So do we have a motion on, yes, we have CJ's motion on the board that no action be taken at this time and this matter be left for consideration by the next council. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Against? Thank you. That was carried. The next item on our agenda is the report from Operational Services. Mr. Dinwoody.
No, it's introduction of late items, and that's going to be added as business item number 9.
I'm up. Here he goes. Pardon me, I didn't see that part. So we've gone through approving the minutes? Okay. So that's introduction of, we have to do that first. Introduction of late items. Sorry, Mr. Dinwoody, I had you all ready to go. Pre-budget approval to carry out structural shoring repairs to the north end of the fire hall roof in Town Hall. And that will be added to
Business number 9.
Business 9. Good. Thank you very much. And so now we need to move the approval of the agenda as changed for the last half hour. It's been a little confusing. Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Campbell, all in favor. Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. So we do not have any delegations, water matters, correspondence, or bylaws. So we're down to business number 1, and that is Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Council approved a use agreement with Penticton Model Aviation Club, or PENMAC, for a 1-year term each year since 2013 in order for PENMAC to use the airport to fly model aircrafts. There have been no issues in the past with the use of the airport by PENMAC for this purpose. They are requesting an agreement for use for another year ending December 31st, 2018. Insurance is provided through the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada in the amount of $2 million. There is no fee being charged to the group as there are no direct expenses to the town. Implications to the community: the club provides a recreation opportunity for local people and brings other people to town to participate in the activities. Organizationally, staff time monitoring the contract, no impact to the budget, no significant dates. Sustainability, no issues. Options: 1, that council approve the agreement with Penticton Model Aviation Club for the use of the Osoyoos Airport for the term of January 1st to December 31st, 2018, and that the signatories for the town be authorized to execute the document. 2, that staff make changes to the agreement and return to council for further review. Or 3, that council not approve the agreement with Penticton Model Aviation Club for the use of the Osoyoos Airport, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell?
I'm a move option number 1.
Thank you very much. Are you seconding it then?
I'll second it, but I had a question. That's why
No, not a problem. Well, so, Councillor Rhodes, moved it. Councillor Campbell seconded. Councillor Camp. Did you have, will we let Councillor Campbell speak first, and then you can, Councillor Rhodes?
Oh, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, CJ. I'm in support of Councillor Rhodes' motion. I just had a question. If my memory serves me right, a lot of the partners we're dealing with now have gone to $5 million in insurance liability. Is that a municipal standard, or is $2 million sufficient?
In this case, $2 million is sufficient, but we'll be looking at that for future as to whether they have to be increased. But yes, all others, because they're high risk.
Right.
This one is a lower risk.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And there is no need for us to be concerned about what's going on at the airport with fences and that type of thing? The airstrip, that's not going to interfere with this? Good. Okay, just checking. Councillor Rhodes, did you have anything to add?
I was just going to mention that this group has been very, very respectful of our property at the airport, and have also worked very close with the racing association up there that uses the track, just to make sure that there's no conflict in any events that they have or anything. And I think this is about our 5th or 6th renewal now, and I've never ever heard of any negative aspect of it. But I thought it would be important to mention about how respectful they are of our property up there.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to accept option number 1. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. That's carried. Next is the road closure at the Osoyoos Airport. Ms. McKay.
Thank you, Mayor. The Osoyoos Airport Society has asked the town to consider closing the road that parallels the west side and south end of the runway to allow for the further development of the Osoyoos Airport facilities, including hangars and fencing. And you can see that in map 1 included in your agenda. A 1988 subdivision plan that created the airport lot, approximately 16.9 hectares or 41 acres, also included the dedication of the road along the south end of the airport lot. The plan of subdivision was signed by the provincial approving officer. The road was likely to be considered as an extension to 100th Avenue and was part of a proposed network route to connect Highway 97 and Highway 3 north of Osoyoos. Additional background information is also provided to council in their agenda package. Section 40 of the Community Charter outlines the road closure process. The process includes giving public notice and filing of the plan in accordance with Section 120 of the Land Titles Act. In this case, it appears that the province of BC may have to consent to the road closure as they were original owner of the land at the time of subdivision. As indicated on map 2 in your agenda, the road appears to be an extension of Highway 3 and would therefore require Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure approval in order to proceed with the road closure. A survey of the portion of road slated for closure would also be required. Implications to move ahead with this are, from a community perspective, the use of the closed road area for an extension to the runway would allow for expanded airport uses, which would contribute to the local economy. Organizationally, as noted above, the road closure would be subject to approval of the Ministry of Transportation. With Council's direction, a proposal would be forwarded to the Ministry of Transportation and other applicable referral agencies and departments for their consent. In this case, the referral agencies would also include the Agricultural Land Commission, as the neighbouring properties are within the Agricultural Land Reserve. Prior to finalizing the road closure process, the official community plan should be amended to remove this route from the plan from the OCP map. However, this amendment could also actually be undertaken during the next OCP review. There is sanitary sewer infrastructure, gravity sewer, and force main located in a segment of the road right-of-way which parallels Highway 3. Concurrent with the road closure, statutory right-of-ways would need to be put in place for the sanitary sewer infrastructure. From a budget perspective, the town, or indirectly the Airport Society, would be responsible for costs associated with surveying the subject property, advertising or giving public notice, and for filing of plans at the Land Title Office. Significant dates are basically just the time required to process the road closure, and that would be dependent in large part on the response from the Ministry of Transportation and the applicable referral agencies. The parcel is directly south of the subject road, is owned by the province. With the closure of the road, this lot would no longer have dedicated road access. It's unlikely the province would object to the road closure on this basis. This area is also considered to be a natural wildlife area. During discussions with the province on the road closure issue, it would be appropriate to also discuss the future use of these lands, sidebar, with the hope to actually secure them for our purpose or just for protection and perpetuity. Options for council to consider are: 1, that council direct staff to proceed with the road closure process and to discuss the future use of the lands owned by the Ministry of Transportation Infrastructure. Option 2, council direct staff to proceed with the road closure process only. And option 3, no further action be taken. Staff are recommending option 1, that council direct staff to proceed with the road closure process and discuss future uses of the land owned by the province, as shown in map 3.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Would this go to public for discussion? If this went through to change this road?
Through the chair, that would be required. A public process would be
Okay, 'cause I
required.
just wonder how the farmers would impact them.
Okay. Is there anybody? Yeah, Councillor.
Question is, Director of Planning, do you know who uses that road now?
Thank you again, through the chair. To the best of my knowledge, it's being used for people walking their dogs and other things in the area, which is one of the reasons the fence is going up. This is what I've been told anyway. There isn't really anybody using the road for any type of purposes. I'm not sure if Mr. Dinwoody has any comment on that.
Councillor King, do you have anything to add to that? You're the one who lives across the street.
Well, and he made the comment about there being, it might be a concern to the local farmers. So I was just wondering if they did use it, because I've not been there, so I couldn't tell whether they've. Do you know that, Councillor King?
Councillor King, do you see anybody using that road over there from your house?
No, they used the new walk path, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, there really isn't a road beyond the airport there. It's just a road allowance.
Okay.
And there is no road, for example, along the canal trail. It's just the road allowance that's been designated there.
So the pink on the map really isn't a road at all.
That's right.
On map number 1.
Yeah.
It's just
In the portion within the what's defined as the airport lease, there's more of a defined roadway, but beyond that, at the foot of the runway, there's no road.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so would somebody like to?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I'd like to make the motion, council direct staff to proceed with the road closure process and to discuss the future use of the lands owned by the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure as shown on map 3.
Okay, is somebody, are you seconding that, Councillor Campbell? Is there anybody who would like to speak to that? Okay, so we will ask for a vote on that. All in favor of the motion? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So that's carried. Thank you. Next is the boat trailer parking lot. Is that Ms. Van Buenen?
Gerald.
No, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Staff researched the notion of installing pay parking machines at the boat trailer parking lot. This was included in our capital budget discussions, and during our first open budget meeting, Council agreed to move forward with the project. Staff is seeking pre-budget approval in order to move forward with this project. To complete this, the following actions need to be completed. The current bylaws need to be changed to reflect new operating system. Fees need to be established. Equipment needs to be ordered and installed. And notification of community and hotels of new operating system. If we do not start this process before the budget is approved, we may not have it ready for the busy summer months. In terms of implications for the community, having this boat trailer parking lot is beneficial to keeping trailers off the road and providing visitors a safe and secure area to store their trailer. The Hotel Association has been consulted and are in favor of this new system. Organizational, staff will be involved with ordering the equipment and making the necessary administrative changes. Budget, the capital budget was set at $20,000 and it's coming from the resort municipality funds. User fees will also offset operating costs. Significant dates. If we're going to have this in place for the summer, we will need to decide what action to take ASAP and order the required equipment. During this time, we will address all administrative changes. In terms of sustainability, by adding a fee to the parking of this service, we will secure funding to have this service in place for many years. Option number 1, for council to pre-approve the budget amount of $20,000 to move forward with the boat trailer parking project. Option 2, for council not to pre-approve the capital amount of $20,000 for this project. Option 3, for council to pre-approve a different amount for this project. And option 4, for council to remain status quo and do nothing at this time. And the recommendation is for option number 1.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff.
I have a question.
Yeah. Can we let Councillor...
ahead.
Go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Joe, can you just refresh my memory? Is this for 2 machines or just 1?
It would be just for 1 machine. The machines go anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000, and the installation cost would be anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000.
I was just curious, you had mentioned you pluralized the machine in your background information, and I know we have 2 lots there, so would we be opening up some fencing in between the 2 of them?
I don't see that happening. We can just have the tickets dispensed for either lot from the 1 machine.
And would it be outside the gate
It'd
of
be
the
outside the
machines?
gate, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Is that okay, Councillor Rhodes? Did you get that?
So you would get out of your vehicle, walk up and buy a ticket, and then you could choose what lot you would park in?
Or whichever one was open.
Or whichever one was opened, or wherever there's space. But just like you do at a parking lot, you would at an airport, you would stop, buy your ticket for X number of days, and then we'd have a system in place that enables the reading of the license plates to enable bylaw to enforce. And it really wouldn't matter which your lot you're in.
Can I ask...
Perfect. I'll move on to number 1 then.
Well, no,
Okay.
okay, that's fine. I'll second it and then speak to it.
Okay. And you go ahead and speak then, and I had a question.
I was going to make the motion, but I'm happy to support Councillor Rhodes' motion. And just for the public's knowledge, this was a project that we were moving forward with. This is just a pre-approval based on timing of getting the materials and getting the project done in time for the tourist season.
So can I ask if somebody wants to go in and buy a ticket for 1 day or 30 days, that option is now open to them?
I think that's what we would actually look at when we change the bylaw. There are a ton of different things we can do. Different companies, the ones that we talked about before, do different things. There's anything from, like our CAO said, getting the license plate number. There's one that's just for time. And they're all interconnected in terms of the use of the internet and that kind of stuff. So it's very to the point.
But my concern was the last year they had a 2-week. Am I correct? They could only have it for 2 weeks.
We'll be bringing back a total assessment of the entire operations of the lot. We will then be taking a look at maybe making it a revenue stream, enabling some changes that may facilitate local use. Those will all be, and that's part of the corporate reports that we want to do that will then make up the changes to the bylaw.
Okay, fair enough. That's in the next report? Yeah. The next.
Not right now, but over the next month or 2.
There is another one, but there's, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. So we have a motion on the floor to go with option number 1. Am I correct? Okay. All in favor? Are you?
I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. So that's carried. Now, we have pre-budget approval. No, this is for the roof. Is this one yours, Mr. Dinwiddie?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a report on pre-budget approval to repair the roof over the front entrance to Town Hall. So as anyone who has visited Town Hall over the past 2 years is well aware, the roof over the front entrance requires some repair. Water appears to pool on the flat roof section before it finds its way through walls and around windows into the front entrance lobby. This in turn has damaged insulation. Drywall promoted the growth of mold in the area and made the automatic front door opener inoperable. The Operational Services Department has attempted to hire a qualified roof contractor to correct this problem several times without any success. As a bit of an overview, after the completion of the Town Hall building assessment performed by David Nairn and Associates Limited in December of 2017, a plan was developed to repair the front entrance roof at Town Hall. It is believed that the creation of this specific plan will remove any uncertainty about the scope of this project, which may have made it unappealing to potential roof repair contractors. The Operational Services Department would like to re-tender this high-profile project as soon as possible. The implications for the community are the dramatic improvement to the appearance of front entrance to Town Hall, reduction in health concerns for staff and visitors, and improved community image. Organizationally, there will be a reduction in the resources deployed to address this continuing problem. Budget-wise, the initial capital budget allocated to this project in 2017 was $25,000, which was carried over into the 2018 budget. Administration is requesting Town Council provide the administration pre-budget approval for this project and authority to award this contract as soon as possible if the total project costs are under the approved budget of $25,000. Significant dates: in order to repair this obviously leaking roof section as quickly as possible, the Operational Services Department would like to tender this project tomorrow, February 6th, with proposed contract closing date of Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. Sustainability, there are no real implications. The options before Council are: Town Council allows the Operational Services Department pre-budget approval in the amount of $25,000 to repair the administrative building roof and the authority to award a construction contract provided the total cost of the project does not exceed $25,000. Option number 2 is that Town Council waits until 2018 capital budget is completely approved before authorizing Operational Services Department to issue a tender to repair the front entrance at the Town Hall roof. And option number 3 is that Town Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. The recommendation from the administration is that Town Council adopt option number 1. I know that's a different one.
Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to move the adoption of this? Thank you. Councillor Youngberg.
Yes, thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'll just like to make a motion for option number 1.
Thank you. And it's been seconded. Councillor Campbell. Any questions? Any comments on this?
No, we just have had lots of discussion about this, and I think it's time we move on.
And does this mean that we can take away the garbage cans and the buckets by the front door?
Once we fix it.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of this motion? Thank you very much.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And next is the pre-budget approval to purchase a new photocopier scanner for the Operational Services Department.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The department's existing unit is over 12 years old now and not capable of scanning documents so that they are searchable. According to FOIP requirements, all Scantown documents must be searchable. It should also be noted that as a result of the recent move of the town's computer system to a new server, the existing photocopier in the Operational Services Department can no longer email any scanned documents. So as an overview, the Operational Services Department administers numerous capital infrastructure projects, roads, water, sewer, building, maintenance, etc. for the town of Osoyoos. This process frequently involves analyzing tendered bids, corresponding with various contractors and consultants, evaluating new products, and researching new techniques for maintaining our aging infrastructure. All of this information is required to be scanned and saved on the corporate R drive, which is a task our existing photocopier scanner is no longer capable of performing. It should be noted that Town Council did give preliminary approval for funding this capital expenditure during the initial 2018 budget discussions in December. Implications for the community are none. Organizationally, the Operational Services Department will be able to more efficiently process contract documents and record it in the appropriate location in the town's electronic records management system. Budget-wise, Town Council did give approval for this project to proceed at the initial 2018 capital budget discussion meetings on December 14th of 2017. The approved budget amount at that time was $7,000, which the Operational Services Department is committed to stay below. significant dates in order to replace the existing non-functional photocopier/scanner as soon as possible. Operational Services Department would like to advertise this RFP by tomorrow, February 6th. Sustainability, approved ability to scan documents into the town's electronic records management system, reducing the need to maintain paper copies of contract documentation. The options before council are the town council allows Operational Services Department to issue an RFP to purchase a new photocopier scanner prior to the adoption of the 2018 capital budget. Option number 2 is that town council waits until the 2018 capital budget is completely approved before authorizing the Operational Services Department to issue an RFP to purchase a new photocopier scanner. Option number 3 is that town council requests additional information prior to making a decision, and administration recommends town council adopt option number 1.
Councillor Campbell?
Thank you. I know it's not a ton of money, but you'd think a sweater vest or a collared shirt would have been appropriate. I'll move option number 1.
This just does match the coat, so, you know.
I'll move option number 1.
Thank you.
You'll be afraid when I wear the tie.
Yes, be careful, I don't want that stick broken. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we go with option number 1. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Next is the acting mayor appointments. And is that Mrs. Hilson?
It is
who's doing
me.
that? Good.
Okay. So, under background, under the council procedure bylaw and community charter, council is required to appoint an acting mayor. Council made appointments in December 2017 for the 2018 year. Councillor Youngberg is unavailable during the month of March and therefore would like to switch months with Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Rhodes would become acting mayor for the month of March, and Councillor Youngberg will become acting mayor for the month of April. A resolution of council is required for this change. Implications under community leadership is provided in the mayor's absence, organizational none, budget none, significant dates as soon as possible, sustainability, continuity in leadership. And options before council are that number 1, Councillor Rhodes be appointed as acting mayor for the month of March 2018, and that Councillor Youngberg be appointed as acting mayor for the month of April 2018. Number 2 is you could put somebody else in, and number 3 is no changes be made to the acting mayor appointments. And staff recommends option 1.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell?
Assuming Councillor Rhodes is okay with the change, I'll move option number 1.
Yes, has Councillor Rhodes been, has he been asked? Oh, good. Councillor Rhodes, you know about this. It's not something that we're springing on you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay.
I've discussed it already, and I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. You're seconding that? All in favor of the motion? Thank you very much. That's carried. I'm assuming Councillor Rhodes is in favor of that, so we'll. Next is the Osoyoos Secondary School bursaries. Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So, background, the Osoyoos Secondary School has sent out their application form to organizations looking for scholarships, bursaries, and awards for graduates of the Osoyoos Secondary School. The date for receiving the completed form is February 9th, 2018. 3 categories in which financial donations fall into. First one, scholarships, which is scholastic requirement to qualify. Awards, the award is neither a scholastic or financial need requirement to qualify. And 3, bursary, the student must demonstrate financial need or hardship to qualify. The overview, in 2015, the town of Osoyoos committed to providing 3 bursaries to students from the graduating class from Osoyoos Secondary School in the amount of $1,000 each. In addition, council committed to provide this level of funding for 2016 and 17 as well. This is an annual request made by the Osoyoos Secondary School. Consideration may be given to council if they wish to give a longer-term commitment to the Osoyoos Secondary School for graduating students if they wish. These bursaries are paid to the student once they provide proof that they are registered for post-secondary education. Implications under community. This provides a little bit of assistance for a graduating student from Osoyoos Secondary School, helping out with some of their post-secondary costs. Organizationally, the mayor or mayor's designate would present the bursary at the Osoyoos Secondary Award ceremony. Budget, no budget implications if the amount of $3,000 is not changed. These funds come out of the grant and aid pool of funds. Significant dates. The Osoyoos Secondary School needs to be notified of council's decision no later than February 9th, 2018. Sustainability allows for financial support of these 3 students going on to post-secondary school levels. Options before council. Option 1, to award 3 bursaries to graduates of the Osoyoos Secondary in the amount of $1,000 each. Option 2, to annually award 3 bursaries to graduates of the Osoyoos Secondary in the amount of $1,000 each for the years 2018, 19, and 20. And option 3, to not award any bursaries in 2018. And the recommendation by staff is option number 2.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody who would like to, Councillor Youngberg?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to annually award 3 bursaries to graduates of Osoyoos Secondary in the amount of $1,000 each for the years 18, 19, and 2020.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor King? Is there anybody who'd like to speak to that?
Just a
Councillor
question.
Coker?
I assume the difference in 1 and 2 is to not have to revisit this for the next couple of years?
That's
just for
exactly,
efficiency? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Zackel, do we have an outstanding list of people who have not collected their bursaries or scholarships?
We have, and we've been in a process of trying to communicate with those recipients to inform them that of council's decision that we're trying to put a 3-year window on them, so that if they don't go to post-secondary within a 3-year time, they'll just get absorbed back into the bursary program. We are having a little bit of trouble getting hold of a few of them, but we definitely got a hold of some of them. So giving them a little bit of time now to react to that is good. These ones that will receive it from this point forward, it'll be put into their letter that they have 3 years to utilize it. So.
Yeah, right. That's good. Do we do that as well with the? I know we haven't had an application yet for the royalty, but I just have reasons to ask about the royalty. Do you put a stipulation on the time they have got to use that bursary?
Yep, that will be the exact amount of time.
The same thing will apply to them.
As the secondary bursaries are, so yes. Yep.
Okay.
I think that's very generous of the town. I know that the Seroptimists have a bursary and they have a limit of 18 months on it, so 3 years is very nice. Okay, have we had a... Did we moved and seconded? All in favor of option number 2? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Okay, next is the items requiring council direction, financial plan. This would be Mr. Zackel.
Thank you. So at the January 18th public open meeting of council, a number of submissions were heard by council at this meeting. To move the financial plan forward, direction regarding these financial requests are required. The majority of requests are coming from groups asking for financial assistance for their operating funds. The town of Osoyoos has a total grant and aid program in addition to the municipal tax exemption bylaw in amount of $136,000.
Sorry, may I?
Yes.
I'd like to recuse myself based on potential conflict.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. The town of Osoyoos has a total grant and aid program in addition to the municipal tax exemption bylaw in the amount of $136,000. The museum currently receives $51,000, which is 37.5% of this. Desert Center receives $15,000, which is 11.03%, and the remainder is $70,000 is a community service grant program. Council increased the community service grant program funding from $60,000 to $70,000 in their 2017 budget. So the overview. The items for direction of council are, this first one is picks and sticks. The request for funding is $25,000, which is equivalent to the platinum corporate level funding for the event. The Resort Municipality Initiative funding has a component for special event funding that is available to assist with sponsorship events that will enhance visitor experience and create attractions. The expenditure of these funds is to support activities that bring forward people into local overnight accommodation that generates municipal and district tax funds and promotes economic development in town. Currently, $30,000 has been budgeted in that special events category, with approximately $8,000 being allocated to music in the park. The Picks and Sticks event has a very worthwhile charitable goals, with an unidentified amount of funding being targeted for the Spirit of the Games, an opportunity for local performer to advance their career, and potential indirect economic development spin-offs to the town businesses. The direct benefits are going to Penticton, Incaneep Golf Course, and Spirit Ridge. Council must also consider that this event has limited public accessibility, is billed as a corporate sponsorship event, and is hosting of local activities that are at Spirit Ridge, resulting in no MRDT taxes to be generated towards RMI allocation process. Destination Osoyoos has committed $10,000 in funding to support this event. Potential source of funds: partial funding of a request based on funds from RMI, an increase in taxes of 1%, partial or entire funding from allocated amounts from the Community Service Grant Program, or cutting service and programs to allocate funds. Two options before Council. Option 1, Council funds all or portion of the funding request based on identifying revenues from one of the above noted sources of funds. Or option number 2, Council denies the request. The recommendation: administration recommends denying the funds for this request. Fundamental to funding of this event is Council's role in funding charity events that are corporate in nature, don't have 100% direct benefit to the town, or indirect benefits to the town are not substantial in amount or visible to justify the investment. From a public policy perspective, the administration would not recommend funding a charitable corporate-focused event that does not have substantively, clearly 100% community benefit. Destination Osoyoos is making a contribution, therefore the event is receiving economic or tourism development support from Osoyoos. And at this point in time, I would ask Council to deal with each one of these individually. Yes.
Is there anybody who would like to speak to this? Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Yes, I in agreement with the administration's recommendation. We do designate a certain amount of money to Destination Osoyoos for this very reason, to support them economically and tourism development-wise from their board of directors. And therefore, I'm glad that Destination Osoyoos is making the contribution to support this event. I think it'll be great for the community and bring some very high-profile attention. But as it says, it's not 100% direct benefit to our town.
Thank you. So is anybody else seconding that? That's a motion to go with that recommendation?
Yes.
Is that option number 2?
Denies the request, yes.
Yeah, I was just going by the recommendation.
Yeah. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to this? I'm wondering if Councillor Rhodes would like to speak. No?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. No, I don't have anything to say. I would just be echoing Councillor Youngberg's comments.
Good, thank you. I'm just going to speak about it for a minute. I certainly thought about this a lot because I was initially quite taken aback asking for $25,000 for a day-and-a-half event that it takes place in Penticton, in Oliver, and at Spirit Ridge. And so my concern was that there was an in-kind donation in Oliver at the golf course. I understand there's an in-kind donation from Hyatt Hotels up at Spirit Ridge, and there would be likely quite a cost to playing hockey at the arena in Penticton. So I don't see that it is a good use of the taxpayers' money of the town of Osoyoos, and considering the fact that Destination Osoyoos, which is our tourism and economic development arm, is supporting this, I think that it really has been supported. I do understand that next year when they do this event again, which has been apparently already decided, that there might be an increase in their ability to put on a concert. And at that point, they could be looking at Desert Park. I don't know whether that's absolutely in the works or not, but it was discussed. And at that time, because that's within in the town, I could certainly I would consider, and perhaps council might consider, an in-kind donation of the Desert Park area, like we've done for other groups that have come. I'm thinking the Water Science Forum. There was a donation in kind to use the Sonora Center. So to me, that makes more sense than spending this kind of money on an event that doesn't necessarily help our taxpayers in the town. So I'm certainly in agreement with this recommendation. So the motion is to go with option number 2. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. That's carried. And next is the Osoyoos gift cupboard. Mr. Zackel.
Okay, so next request was Osoyoos gift cupboard. Presentation was made by this group asking for long-term financial assistance of $2,000 per year to offset the operating costs of the program to assist with keeping items available in their gift cupboard. Potential source of funds: increased taxes by 0.08%, option or partial or entire funding from allocated amount from the community service grant program, or the other one is cut service or programs to allocate funds. Options before council on this: council funds all or a portion of the funding request based on identifying revenues from one of the above noted sources of funds. Option 2, council forwards the request to Director of Community Services to be considered along with all the grant and aid requests for 2018. And option 3, council denies the request. Recommendation, administration recommends option number 2, that this request be forwarded to be considered from the Community Service Grant Program.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Similar to last year, I think this certainly falls into a grant and aid and should be considered during that process.
Good. Councillor King, you seconding that? Yeah, that way it can be considered. That was the way it was done last year, wasn't it?
That's 2, yes.
Yeah.
Down.
So the
That's okay.
motion is to go with option number 2. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. You in favor of that? Thank you. That's carried. Osoyoos Museum Society?
Yes, so the Osoyoos Museum Society, a request was made from the Osoyoos Museum Society to increase their annual operating funding from $51,000 to $56,000 per year. Potential sources of funds are increased taxes by 0.2%, partial or entire funding from allocated amount to Community Service Grant Program, or cut service or programs to allocate funds. Options before council: council funds all or portion of the funds requested based on identifying revenues from one of the above noted sources of funds. Option 2, council funds or forwards this request to the Director of Community Services to be considered along with all the other grant and aid requests for 2018. And option 3, council denies the request. The recommendation is currently the museum is receiving 37.5% of the entire grant and aid funding for the town of Osoyoos. Increasing the funding to $56,000 would change this balance to 41.18%. In addition, the annual funding provided to the museum is included in a permissive tax exemption bylaw, and the town pays for the utilities for the building, which are estimated at approximately $8,000 per year. Administration recommends that if council wishes to increase the museum's request to increase their annual contribution to $56,000, that the funding come from existing grant and aid funds, and that the $70,000 available for other users be reduced accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor King?
I'd like a motion to option 1.
I'll second that.
So that means that
Council
you...
funds all or portion of the funding request based on identifying revenues from one of the above noted sources of funds.
So which one are you?
So which one are you?
Not the second one.
So are you saying that that would be the grant and aid process that is
No,
going
I'm
to...
not sending it
Oh,
there. I
sorry.
think it should be coming out of there now, the way I read it right.
Well, basically, what it would be is there wouldn't be 70,000 available
there'd be
for other
65
users.
then.
It'd be 65
Yeah.
available for other users, yes.
Yep.
So I'm confused. Are you doing option 1 or option 2?
Option 2, or option 1, I mean.
And they say-
But identified, you've got 3 sources of funding.
Yeah.
It would be The second dot.
Yep. So
Yes.
the decision is being made now to
Fund 56.
to fund 56, with that extra 5 coming out of the grant and aid program.
Okay. I thought option 2 would say the same thing,
No,
but it
it
doesn't.
sounds
Okay,
like it.
no
Sounds
problem. Anybody else like to speak to this? Oh, sorry, it's been moved and seconded?
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Sacco, if we were to increase this to 56,000, will this be a line item going forward in 2019 on our budget?
It already is.
Oh, it is,
It
but not
shows-
in that amount, though.
Not in that amount. So basically, what you would see in the budget is the museum would be $56,000 on our budget, and grants and aid other would be down to $65,000.
I think that's my question, just because we make that decision this year. Does that mean that it will always come from the grant and aid program?
Yeah.
Could it,
Well,
okay, could it be
ultimate-
changed next year?
Well, it counts.
And create more of a, if we've got 51,000 as a line item on the budget now, could we not, going forward when we do our budgeting, to put in 56,000 instead of taking the 5,000 from the grant and aid
Well, you're needing
in years to come?
in years to come, you're either looking at increasing taxes then
Oh, I
to
see.
accommodate that.
Okay.
Your source of funding, is
I'm in
very
agreement.
static, so-
I just was asking a question.
But ultimately, the money that the museum is receiving, the money that the Osoyoos Desert Society is receiving, those are grant and aid
Okay.
monies.
Okay.
Just because they show as a line item, council has the ability to say, you know what, we're not funding this anymore. Just because it shows as a line item doesn't mean it's ongoing
It's
funding.
etched in stone.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak to this? All in favor of the motion? Councillor Rhodes?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. So that's carried. The next one was a request from Mrs. Slater.
Okay. Ms. Slater brought up the safety concern about the lack of a sidewalk from Smitty's to around the south end of Peanut Pond. In the 2018 to 22 5-year draft budget document, this project is included to be constructed and completed in 2019. Potential sources of funds: the project is currently in 2019 with a source of funding coming from borrowing. We could increase taxes by 4.4% or utilize reserve funds. Options before council: council maintains the project for 2019 as presented in the budget. Option 2, council changes priorities and moves this project into the 2018 budget and maintains the source of funding as borrowing. Option 3, council changes priorities and defers a 2018 project to allow for the sidewalk project to be completed in 2018 with the source of funding as reserves. So the recommendation before council is administration recommends that the project be kept in the 2019 budget, as there are surplus funds at the end of the 2018 calendar year. They can be allocated towards this project to ensure that it moves forward, utilizing possibly reserves in 2019 rather than having to borrow. But it's too premature to say we can move this one forward.
So basically leave it where it is and it will come up because it's in the plan. Okay. Councillor Campbell?
Thank you. What kind of dollars are we talking about?
Right here.
Must be 100, if it's 4.4,
Right.
must be 100 and about 125, well, 115,000.
110,000.
Okay.
And what's our reserve situation like?
Well, we've allocated a substantial amount towards reserves for 2018. There's a number of things that are coming to light, and I really don't like to tap into it too much for. So in our 5-year capital, we're utilizing 2.9 million in reserves already, out of a total of 3.7. That's accumulated surplus and reserves. Hold on. We're using 2.2 million of a total of 4.5 million, but accumulated surplus is only 2 million of that. The other ones are dedicated
Right.
reserves within the thing. So
Okay.
our reserve funds are fairly utilized already.
Okay, Mr. Dinwiddie, question. How much of a safety concern do you see this as being, or any potential liability for letting this go another year?
I don't think that that's a heavily traveled pedestrian corridor, so I don't think I think it can wait until 2019. I know there are people who do travel that way, and it's an awkward little road, there's no doubt about it, but I think it would be fine until 2019.
Okay. Thank you.
So do we have a motion?
Sure.
Are you making a motion?
Sure. I'll move that we go with the recommended. Council maintains the project for 2019 as presented in the budget.
Okay, so that's option one. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor King, all in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Okay, next is Kenton Gilchrist.
Okay, so Mr. Gilchrist is asking for $5,000 to assist with producing some short economic development videos to show what the town of Osoyoos looks like when the summer tourist season is over. The filming process was said to take approximately 2 years to complete. Potential source of funding: increase taxes by 0.2%, or utilize economic development allocated funding. Options before council to fund all or portion of the funding request based on identifying revenues from one of the above sorted noted sources of funds, or 2, council denies the request. Recommendation before council: administration had asked Mr. Gilchrist to come back to a committee of the whole meeting to do a presentation to council. To date, no additional information has been received.
It has now.
And I'd like to pass this one on to Barry at this time.
Yeah, like I received a package from him late Friday.
We all did, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, so
Just you and me.
it was
I
too.
got it.
Sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
It was too late to be considered as part of this discussion, so I sent him a note back that we'll review it. And but again, I didn't look at the package to make any assessment of it. So, but he was asked to come back to council, to a committee of a whole, because my understanding is his project was much larger in scope, and the ask from the town was just a portion of it. So council wanted to hear what his proposed approach was going to be.
Yeah, the report was incredibly detailed. It was a really well put together report, but I think hearing that report from him at a committee of a whole meeting and having him walk us through it would make sense.
Okay. So can I suggest that for this point in time that we just deny his request right now, and we do have economic development, an economic development fund, which is I think $10,000, and that later on council can hear his presentation, and at that time we can decide whether or not you want to make a contribution from that fund.
So do you need any direction to invite him to a committee of a whole, or?
Yeah,
they will do that.
Should send him that letter, right?
Right now, I would just recommend that no further action take place.
Yeah. No.
And administration will invite him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be in the motion?
No.
To advise?
No, not to invite
No, they
him.
would automatically
No.
do that. I did not get a copy of this, and I'm just wondering if there is, if everybody on council did, and I think it would be.
Councillor Rose, did you get it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I was left off the list. Maybe somebody could forward it to me, please. And thank you very much.
It's just here it says 5, and of course he asked for 10.
Oh, okay. So.
So that's changed since.
Well, we'll wait for
I think
him to
that'll be
come
clarified
and
when he-
ask.
when he speaks to us.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, so we'll leave that till we ask him to come to council.
You should have it now.
So could we get a motion that no action take place?
Yeah. Yeah. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Have we got time to carry on, or are you leaving?
Got 5 minutes.
Next is the pre-budget approval for roof repairs. Mr. Dinwiddie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, in December of 2017, David Nair and Associates were hired to perform a building assessment of the existing town hall and fire hall building located at 8707 Main Street in Osoyoos. During their review, they identified concerns relating to the structural safety of the roof above the north end of the fire hall. On January 25th of 2018, the town of Osoyoos received a report from DNA highlighting their safety concerns for this area of the fire hall, strongly recommending immediate action be taken to prevent potential damage to the building. As an overview, the attached letter from DNA outlines their recommended approach to repair this potentially dangerous situation, as well as their cost estimate for these repairs. The hazard materials assessment of Town Hall is scheduled to take place tomorrow, after which qualified contractors will be contacted and asked to submit a bid on this project. Implications for the community are if the structural deficiencies in the roof of the fire hall at Town Hall are not identified and corrected in a timely manner, the safety of staff and citizens at Town Hall could be compromised. Organizationally, it could lead to the possible closure and relocation of administrative offices for the town of Osoyoos. Budget-wise, DNA has provided the Operational Services Department with a high-level cost estimate of $38,479 to complete this project. These funds apparently are available in town reserves. Significant dates: the tender to evaluate the existing roof structure and complete any required repairs should be issued as soon as possible. Sustainability: continued use of the existing town hall prior to the decision being made on the building's ultimate future, whether you're going to repair it or build a new one. The options before council are the council allows the Operational Services Department pre-budget approval in the amount of $38,479 to repair the administration building roof, and the authority to award a construction contract provided the total cost of the project does not exceed $40,000. Option number 2 is that council waits until the 2018 capital budget is completely approved before authorizing the Operational Services Department to issue a tender to repair this roof. And option number 3 is that town council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Administration recommends town council adopt option number 1.
Thank you.
So this is a different roof, different section of the roof than the first roof.
Yes, it is. We have a few problems with roofs. Is there anybody who would like to
I'll move option number 1.
option number 1, and it's been seconded by Councillor Youngberg. Is there anybody who needs to discuss this, talk about it? I guess it has to be done, otherwise we won't be allowed in the building. Okay, all in favor? Councillor Youngberg, you in favor? Yes.
I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Dinwiddie, we expect that done immediately.
We'll do the hazardous assessment tomorrow.
Okay.
And after that information, we'll have the contract.
Okay, thank you. Next is the, no notice of motion, is the cash requirements. So the general net payroll and Sun Bowl figure skating accounts. And this is a report on the expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information for council to receive. And I just lost the page. All right, so here it is. So general cash requirements of $1 million. Ooh, it's gone up. $1,111,580.23. And Sun Bowl cash requirements of $19,655.86. And those are to be approved by consensus. And net payroll accounts of $76,153.21, and that's for information. So option 1 and option 2. We okay with that? Everybody in favor?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor. Thank you.
Pay the bills.
Yeah, we do. Next is the, there is minutes, draft meeting minutes of the West Bench Dog Park Committee, which was held on January the 17th at 5:15 at the Samora Community Center. Mr. Dinwiddie was there, as well as Mr. Davis and 3 members of the Dog Park Committee. And we understand that it went well. Is there anything you'd like to add to this, to the minutes here?
No, like I said, the committee is progressing along nicely. We have we did get a quote on what the fencing potentially could cost. I will be talking to True Consulting this week with regards to not they have plans as to how we're going to grade the site, that sort of thing. So, yeah, no, it's coming along.
Okay, and you've had a second meeting since this one, and the minutes of those will come to the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. And Councillor Rhodes, we understand it's in good hands, and thank you for sending that note.
You're welcome.
Do we need to have a motion to that the minutes be received for information? Thank you. One, Councillor King, Councillor. See you. And all in favor. Did you get that? Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. Good, thank you. CAO report. Ooh, we've got 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the activities of the administration, starting first in community services, where our department had a family toboggan event on Sunday, not September 28th, that must have been January 28th, at Baldy. Went well, and we are planning to do another similar event in the future. Plans are underway for a Family Day event on February 12th. We've received a grant from BC Parks and Recreation Association to offset the costs of the event, including hot chocolate, hot dogs, and cupcakes will be part of the free skate, family free skate. We have installed an aeration system at the lagoon. This included an electrical upgrade that powers compressors during bubble tubing and de-icer equipment to keep the mouth of the lagoon free of ice. We have a fine-tuned the system, and it's working great. So although we did not need it this year, it provided us the opportunity to at least test it out, and we'll be very shortly pulling that out of the water because it doesn't look like we're going to need it this year. The West Bench Dog Park Committee has met, and we're in the process of developing our new off-leash dog park. The Osoyoos Daycare is temporarily moved to the mezzanine at the Sun Bowl Arena, and the after-school program is now located at the Cactus Center. The deadline for community service grants is February 23rd. Corporate services, electronic filing has been ongoing to get this project completion with a hopeful target at the end of March. Freedom of information quests are ongoing. There's been a slowdown as we await further instruction and/or prepayment from our applicants. Once again, we have the dog days of winter, and dogs are taking the center stage on the bylaw enforcement side of corporate services. Dog owners are strongly reminded to keep their dogs leashed and under control when in public and to have their dogs licensed. And the bylaw officer will be proactive in ensuring these requirements are met. Complaints of dogs not on leash are on the rise, and also people have to be aware that our bylaw stipulates that leashes are only to be 6 feet in length. So, the dogs have to be under control, and I know this is not an issue that is alone to us, but I myself incurred an incident here this week where I had a dog rush at me after being bit by another dog 6 months ago. So, it's out there. People have to take ownership for their animals, and I just personally don't understand what's going on. I also walked a canal trail this past week. Our lights came on, and what do you see? You see pet owners who are not responsible for their pets. They're littered. The dog feces is all over the place. In front of our mailbox, even it's come to light that the people are letting their dogs go at will, and it's just extremely disrespectful to the community. I'm sorry, Councillor Rhodes. I guess I've assumed your rant type of character for that one. Anyway, moving on.
It was a good rant, Terry.
In terms of myself, I held an discussion. We had an inter-department discussion on the work impacts of the new cannabis laws, trying to get ahead of this thing. A report will be coming to council probably in the next month, and it's my understanding that we're supposed to hear today from the province, and maybe we've heard, relative to how this is going to be administered in our province. I met with Oliver and the OIB to discuss the pool feasibility study, met with the doctors to discuss the medical services building feasibility study, met with provincial RCMP representatives about the RCMP contract, and we had a meeting of the Waterfront Steering Committee over pier designs, and that's my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion to accept the report, please? Thank you, Councillor Youngberg. Councillor Rhodes. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Good. Next is the Councillor Campbell. You're up first.
Yes, I'm going to pass my report.
Okay. He's been sitting on the beach too long. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank the Coyotes for giving us such a great season of entertainment, and I'd encourage our residents to go out this Saturday to cheer them on, because I think they're one win away of creating the championship for the year.
Good. Good. Well, let's hope they do. Thank you.
That's great.
Councillor Youngberg.
Yes, well, I just want to wish our CAO a very, very good trip and make sure to enjoy those hockey games.
Go Oilers. I hear tires squeal out in a second.
Anyways, and of course, as exciting as that hopefully will be for our CAO, I was involved in the curling, of course, for the last week in Penticton volunteering. And as many Osoyoos people did, I just have to commend our community for always jumping in, because we gave out Osoyoos pins and pens and brochures about our area, and people actually did come down, the unsuccessful teams, and did wine tours in Oliver and Osoyoos on Friday and Saturday. So it was a wonderful event, and exciting. We have a new Canadian champion, and she will be in the Worlds in March in Ontario. Anyways, that's my report to all of our lovely people in Osoyoos. Enjoy the sun. It's coming.
After the snow. Okay, thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Nothing to report.
Well, you guys aren't any fun this week. So I just had a couple of things. I've had a couple of busy weeks, because I met with the CAO and the RCMP, who we had a good meeting with, and Mr. Zackel. We had a good meeting with them to try and figure out the best way we could look at the RCMP contract. Was also met with some doctors locally, and the healthcare feasibility study has been put on our website and has been sent out, I believe, on BC Bid and a few other places. So we're hoping to get a consultant apply for that and come in and have a look at all of the healthcare needs of this area and the possibility of doing a building. On that note, I was up at the hospital, South Okanagan General, not the Oliver Hospital, the other day for a meeting with Interior Health, the CEO and the board chair, and I certainly did bring up some of our concerns about the pay that we hope that will be fixed for doctors doing emergency, and talked about how important it was to have the emergency department at SOGH fixed up and looked at, and we felt that was a very positive move. I've been at the RDOS for a few meetings where we still deal with a lot of issues around composting and sludge, and have yet to find an appropriate spot to build a facility. So that's an ongoing thing, and it just seems to take a fair amount of our time up there. So all of us are adding to that conversation, but at this point there is nothing more to report on that. I was at on Saturday night, I was over at the SAGE, the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society had a fundraiser, and they had beer and burger with a donation going to the Water Quality Society. They had a number of people there, and I think that was a sellout. So they have some money now to put towards, I think, their boat or the engine, something that they do, the water testing in the summertime. So very happy with that. And I just think, Groundhog Day has already happened, and I have a feeling that we've got good weather coming soon. But everybody enjoy the next Valentine's Day and the next couple of weeks in wonderful Osoyoos. Thank you very much. So could we have a motion, please, to adjourn? Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Okay. Thanks.